but by the definition of that, 28 Days Later isn't a zombie movie, and frankly, the distinction isn't as important to me as it is to some people. However, it's important to say it's not a full-blown zombie game. Now that being said, this is one of the coolest looking games. The type of waves that we've seen in previews of this game make it seem like it's going to be one of the largest scale zombie style games that I've seen in pretty much ever. It's one of those things where you're like, man, it would be cool if they did this, but I don't know if it's possible. But the scale, the amounts of freakers, not zombies, freakers on screen at one time seems possible even on consoles now, which is great. This is one I'm definitely working on this remake for a while now. It was announced way back in 2015, and if the quality of the first one is any indicator, I'm pretty excited for this one. Number 4 is H1Z1, more specifically King of the Kill. The separated off competitive element of H1Z1 is making its way to consoles this year. Last year the game was split into 2 games, the survival element and the competitive element, and the competitive element is making its way to consoles. Now, keep in mind, it functions as a full game. It's definitely a good shooter. It came out in September of 2016, and it has mixed reviews, but it is one of the most played games on Steam. It includes a large number of various games. 5.2 is a continuation of the original How to Survive. If you're unfamiliar, it's an action game with a top-down, isometric, but still 3D perspective, and between the shooting mechanics and the absolute abundance of systems in this game that allow you to bring in a lot of depth, from a great leveling system to a fantastic crafting system to a lot of character customization, this game does a great job of building a survival game in a slightly unconventional way. By maintaining a different perspective on the action itself, the action feels very different from other games that may have similar systems, and adds in a small bit of a 90s retro feel to the gameplay that just puts it out into its own class in a very good way. On early access for a while and should be launching in its full form this year, it's one of those games that people really like too. It's built on the CryEngine, and it has a great base building component, and really comes through on the whole MMORPG element without being overtly MMORPG. It feels still like the survival type game that it's obviously meant to, and as this game has come together, it's just gotten better and better. I'm really looking forward to the full launch. Call of Duty Zombies game, you know, every single Call of Duty game that comes out comes with them, so obviously there will be one. They're usually competitive or some kind of wave-based game, but they always have some sort of massive, goofy sense of humor injected into them, and that I think is what sets the Call of Duty Zombies games apart. They always are something that I look forward to, and it's great that they sort of look at it as a separate project because they develop into something big and cool on their own, built on top of the current iteration of the Call of Duty mechanics, obviously. Sometimes I even think these games are worth the purchase alone. Not every year, but I mean, they're fun. Overkill's The Walking Dead, which, if you're aware, Overkill is the developer that made Payday. It's a different take on the game. Looks like it's probably going to share a fair amount with Payday, and plans on being co-op based. Now, this would be pretty much the first real first-person shooter Walking Dead game, and there's a chance that this is going to be really good, because Payday, well, at least in Payday's heyday, Payday was great. It's a little too microtransaction-y for me nowadays, but still, Overkill's a great developer. I have a lot of interest in this one. Number 7 is Metal Gear Survive, which I'm trying to view with an open mind. I'll say that. I'm not going to just immediately attack it. I do think that it's a bit meh, but until we actually have the game in our hands, we shouldn't call it bad. Remake of Resident Evil 2. Now, if you recall, the first Resident Evil's HD remake is fantastic, and the same people are handling the Resident Evil 2 remake. Seems like a no-brainer. Frankly, Resident Evil 2 is one of the classic, my favorite of the Resident Evil series are 1, 2, and 3, and I think 2 is probably my favorite, to be completely honest. Now, they've been working on this remake for a while now. It was announced way back in 2015, and if the quality of the first one is any indicator, I'm pretty excited for this one. Number 4 is H1Z1, more specifically King of the Kill. The separated off competitive element of H1Z1 is making its way to consoles this year. Evil 7 is a true return to form for the series in a way that just absolutely doesn't look a damn thing like it's a true return to form for the series. But what you have to realize is it starts way outside the box and gradually works its way towards a Resident Evil center. And when it gets there, it's like, why didn't they make this game before? Why did we get several crappy ones? I mean, RE7 isn't technically a zombie game because you fight the molded, which are kind of like zombies. They're large, gross, lumbering monsters, and they do a good job of filling in for the zombie. One is State of Decay 2, which is a third-person survival zombie game, open world with co-op, all the great stuff that we expect from these types of games now. But the thing that really sets it apart from the rest of these games is that we know it's the sequel to State of Decay, and State of Decay is awesome. Seriously, the combination of the simulation elements and the actually good AI characters, I don't know, there's just something more slick about State of Decay than there is about just about anything else. It's one of those games that I think comes together better than a lot of these other games, and I think knowing that that's the base that they're building on top of for State of Decay 2, there's literally no reason not to play it.